People go through their whole life seeking validation from others. And this can be in social situations, this can be in career aspirations, this can just be in physique goals. Whatever it is, they look through the lens of trying to seek validation from others. And this is normal. We're social creatures by nature. We have been evolved into a group of people where we have to adapt socially to what they think for our survival. Like if you look from an evolutionary point of view, we're based in social mechanisms. Humans are social creatures. And that's fine. And it's okay to want to be validated by others. And it's important because we need love from others. We need empathy. They're things that allow for human growth and human potential to flourish. But at what point are you acting from scarcity? At what point are you acting from a place of repressing your own authenticity just to fit in with the society or just to meet the expectation and the demands of others? And I think at some point, if you continue to seek validation, you repress the seed of your potential and you become like everyone else. You fit into the box of everyone else. And it's such a shame because like your genetic code is like a miracle. It really is. Like you are a special individual. You're a special being. We all are. Our genetic code is never going to happen again. Our consciousness is never going to happen again. And so make the most of your natural expression. Like there's a part for you to play in the world. And I really do believe that we're all born with innate talents. We're all born with innate ways of being. And if we could all act that out purposefully and we could all be as closest to our core as we can, I think the world would be a lot a better place. But there's just this pressure. There's this societal, like, suffocating energy that wants to keep you boxed into a way of acting, into a way of thinking, into a way of perceiving things, into a way of progressing into the world. And it gets indoctrinated into you from like your parents and their parents and from the schools that you go to and the society and everything. It's like this collective pressure that wants to pigeonhole you, and it's like, just be like everyone else. And then anything that reverts away from that, anything that averts in a different direction feels like it's going against the mill, like it feels like it's going against the grain, and then it creates shame around it, and it just wants you to be the same as everyone else. That it's called the habitus, which is just that it's a pressure of everyone's expectations and the beliefs and the narratives that everyone works by. It influences you to act in accordance with that. And this can be good in a way, because if you look at our society, it works in a very functional manner, and it needs people to believe in collective goals for that to happen. Like I doubt we would have houses and working water and electricity if we all didn't have some collective shared goals to head towards. But when it comes to the point of it repressing your true identity, it becomes an issue. And we all have a persona, we all have a mask that we put on to portray to the world, to fit in. As I said before, it's based in evolutionary purposes, but you need to be careful that this doesn't just rule your life, that you don't live out from a persona. And you get to the point where you're 40 or you're 50 and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, who am I? I never expressed myself. I lived trying to impress others my whole life, or to fit into the box of what everyone else does. It'd be a real shame, and it's something that really does, it makes me scared. And I think there's a transitionary process that happens when you have an awakening. And I would say an awakening is emerging from a sleepless state of trying to be who you think you should be, and who you think you should be is based in the way you grew up and the culture and the society, and all that influences this like point of identity that you think you are. And when you have an awakening, whether it comes from meditation, whether it comes from difficult life circumstances, it can come from psychoactive compounds, whatever that form or that thing of awakening is, it pulls you away from the habits and the routines of being who you think you are, and shows you who you are for a slight second, or reveals that who you think you are is not in aligned with who you actually are. And there's some like spark of consciousness, spark of awareness that emerges from that, and then it's and then you moved back onto another path. It's like you're going down this really muddy, dirty path where your feet are constantly stuck in mud and you're like pulling yourself out and everything feels hard, then all of a sudden you get this awakening to the fact that there's a sidewalk right next to you. There's a different path. And you don't know where that path's going to lead. And it goes in different directions, and all you can see is 1 foot at a time, but that path is better than just the long, narrow, muddy path that you're stuck on from just being who you've been told you are your whole life. And it's a shame people, I don't know if, I think everyone goes through an awakening. I'd like to hope so. And it doesn't have to be a big moment. It can be a slow, progressive thing. And I often think it happens to people later on in life, and maybe that's how it should be. When I think of myself, I messed around with a lot of psychoactive compounds and a lot of meditation and really like deep psychological work at a young age. And it was like quite debilitating for me and destabilizing. And now I've got a bit older. I'm 26 now, like nearly 27. And I feel a lot more grounded, but it's been 5 years of being very lost and confused in existential crisis, and just my axiom of how I see the world and who I am. I never really allow myself to form an identity and ego to question. I just started blowing the doors of perception at a very young age. And so I don't think you necessarily have to chase an awakening. I don't think you have to pursue one. I think just live your life and sit into it, and things will happen, and life will direct you in a way to when you should be awake. And people are in a rush. They're in a rush for this. They're in a rush to be somewhere, to get to some sort of knowledge, but life doesn't work like that. And I think this is where faith comes in handy, that you don't have to be, you got to trust that there's something else. And this might be based on false judgments, I don't know, but you've got to trust that there's something else after your life. Because I do have a belief that like the core of my being, who I am, doesn't go away. And so I don't feel like I'm in a rush anymore. I feel like this lifetime is this lifetime, and the course of Alex Rogers is going to play out, and it plays out however it plays out. And that was like destined for me to be there in a way. And I've just got to participate and dance with it. My job is to just dance with the essence of life. And by doing that, I don't seek validation anymore as much. There is times when I do, and when I find I am seeking validation, it comes from I feel the resistance in me. I feel the anxiety. I feel the repression. But when I'm more willing to dance with what's going on and kind of just be at one with it, life seems to be more flow. It seems to be easier. And yeah, seeking validation can really ruin. It can ruin everything in your life. It really can. It can send you down a path where you just don't know who you are, and I wouldn't want to be that. I think that's everything I've got to say on that today, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you all have a good weekend, whenever you're watching this, and just try and be a little bit more aware than you was yesterday. It's always the best advice that I can give. It's like everything starts with awareness. If you start with awareness and you can find courage to change, then life progresses nicely and things do unfold. And even though you go through hard times, you go through the ups and downs, you're becoming aware of the essence of your being more and more, and that is invaluable. It's better than any material gains, and it will pay its due throughout your life. To be conscious and to be aware and to be mindful and to be aware of the inner world is of utmost importance. For me, it is just as important as holding responsibilities in the external world. And they're both one of the same thing. But there is a world in here as well that you have to pay attention to, because it is as close to you as you can get. So thank you very much for listening, people, and I'll see you all in the next video.